Photoshop's content aware fill technology is an excellent way to remove objects in an image and fix areas that are distracting to the viewer. In this image, I want to remove the iceberg in the left as well as the upper right. We can see on the layers panel that I'm on the retouch layer. I'm going to target the background layer instead. Then, with the lasso tool selected, I'll drag a loose selection around that iceberg. From the edit menu, I'll choose content aware fill. And on the left, we can see our original, and on the right, we have a preview of what it would look like after it's been fixed. So, this green area right here is the area that Photoshop is going to be using as the source information in order to fill the area that we have selected. If we want to add to or subtract from that selection, we can use the brush tool. By default, it's set to minus, so that would subtract an area. Every time we paint with this brush, Photoshop will then recalculate the preview area. If I click on the plus icon, then I can add additional areas to be used as the source. All right, there are different sampling area options: auto, regular, and custom. I think auto works really well for the majority of instances, but you can always select one of the other two. We can also choose to sample all layers. So if I was working over an area that I had retouched on a separate layer, I might want to include that sample all layers option. All right, for now, I'll leave it off. You can also make changes to the sample area overlay. You can change the color and you can hide it. You can even invert it so that it would show the excluded area instead. All right, I think it's done a very good job. So I'm going to apply that. And then I'm going to select the lasso tool while we're still in the content aware fill workspace and use the spacebar in order to see this area of my image. And again, I'll just drag a loose selection around this iceberg that I want to remove, and Photoshop will show me a preview of it over here on the right. We can also use the slider here if we wanted to zoom in, but I'm okay with the way it is. There are additional options here for color and rotation adaptation. So if I thought the colors weren't matching, I could change this, either limiting the colors more or telling Photoshop it can make even additional changes to the color in order to create a good blend. We'll take a look at the other options in just a moment. For now, I'm going to output this to a new layer by clicking OK. Now, just one thing to note, we're seeing thumbnails as if it has changed the entire layer, but I'm going to hide the background for a moment. So content aware fill, every time you tap apply, when you tell it to output to a new layer, it will create a new layer. So here we have the fill in the left, and on this layer, we have the fill on the right. And of course, this top layer was the retouch layer that we created in the previous movie. All right, let's move to this next image of the river. I'm going to zoom in using Command 1 because sometimes it can be very helpful to kind of assist content aware fill before you go into the workspace. And by that, I mean, in this image, these leaves are going right over this rock area, and they're very close down here as well. So if I want to remove this branch, I could help content aware fill by using something like the clone stamp tool and creating sort of a border in between the river area and the rock area. So I'll hold down the option key to set my sample point, and then I'm just going to use the clone stamp tool to just create kind of a difference here, right? So I'm just creating a little bit of separation between what is rock and what is a leaf. All right, once I've done that, I can tap the L key to get the lasso tool, and then I'll just make a loose selection here. Probably want to select that area there to have content aware fill smooth it out for me. But we can see now that there's more distinction between the river area and the rock. I'll choose edit and then content aware fill. And we can see that Photoshop's done a very good job. Now I'm going to use the spacebar to scoot this over. There are a few additional areas here that I want to fill. So let's apply the first one. And then let's go and select these leaves right here. Again, I'll tap apply and move to this next leaf, tapping apply again. And then maybe one more time right over here. I might include this area as well. And looking at the preview, I'll go ahead and tap apply. All right, let's apply all of those changes and I'll use Command D to deselect. If I hold down the Option key, I can click on the eye icon for the background. So that was before and that's after. All right, one more example, this snail. Here, I want to just drag a selection around this area because I would like Photoshop to fix that so that this line continues along this area. All right, to do so, I will choose Edit and then Content Aware Fill. But we can see in the preview area that it doesn't look very good. And that's because by default, Content Aware Fill doesn't rotate or scale any of the source information. But we can change that by just setting the rotation adaptation to a different level. In this case, I'll choose full. And by enabling Photoshop to rotate the source information, it's done a much better job at filling that. I can also tell it that it can scale the content, in which case it will adjust it. And again, I think it does a better job. If I had something like a butterfly wing across a horizontal axis, I could also use the mirror option. But for now, let's just apply that. Again, we can see before and after. So as you can see, the Content Aware Workspace is an excellent tool for removing distracting elements in complex areas.